Why hello and welcome to my video. I'm Sandy Allnock, the artist for this stamp set and a bunch of others in the Ciara's Friends series. And today I'm going to do a coloring tutorial on this first image, Ciara and Sandy. That's me and my girl. I created these stamps because I wanted to highlight the relationship between people and their pets. Because I know for me, my critters are all really important to me and I know they are to other people. So I wanted to have an opportunity for us to have some images that play off of that in a really big way. All the stamps in the series are either people that I know or people that send me photos of their animals and themselves so that I can do kind of caricatures of them as children with their animals, and we can immortalize our pets this way, and I think it's just going to be a really fun project to be working on. I'm laying in the initial color at 300 times the speed, so it's like really fast. I wanted to be able to do this while I was chatting with you about the stamps, so pardon the super speed here. We will get down to a little more tolerable speed in just a moment. And yes, now we slow down. E11 is going to be the shadow color for the flesh tones. And you can see I'm adding it on the underside of the glasses, because the light I'm going to have come from the upper left-hand side where my little fingerprint is that you can see off the image there. Kind of a pain that I already got a pink fingerprint on my picture, but I am going to fussy cut it out, so that's quite alright. BV00 is the color that I'm using for the shading, the really dark areas. And even though that looks like it's a kind of bright purple or strong purple, as soon as I go over it with this E51, you're going to notice it's going to soften a lot. And it's going to become a much more natural flesh tone. You can use all different kinds in the BV series. I use some that are stronger, some that are weaker, depending on the image and the other colors that I'm going to be putting in it. The glasses, if you color them the color of the skin entirely, then they'll look like they're super transparent. But if you leave a little bit light area, as well as coloring just some really light blue or light green or light purple, that's going to make them look like there's some reflections on them as well. And I'm just going in with a blender pen, to soften where those two bleed together. Next, we're going to do the skin on the hands. Same colors, E11 and BV00, as on the face, but these are in more shadow, so there's going to be a lot more color in these because they're underneath the dog's head. So I'm really going to color over those pretty heavily and darken those up. Next, we're going to do the hair. The E29 is the color that I've chosen for the dark shadows, and I'm not coloring deliberately in that part in the glasses. As you can see, I'm going to reserve a little bit of light area in there, and then I want some medium tone, but I don't want any of this dark in there because I don't want that to disappear. And you'll see later on how what I'm doing is going to emphasize that. The dark lines, I'm following a little bit where the lines are in the stamp, and then adding some more of my own as well. You can follow just the lines in the stamp and not worry about drawing in hairs. I'm one of those people who really likes to put a lot of individual hairs in my drawings because that's what our hair looks like. We don't have helmet hair, we don't have giant chunks of hair, but that is a style, and you're certainly welcome to color her any way you want. The only request I have is if you color this image, don't draw my gray roots. I don't want to see my gray roots immortalized on anybody's card. But you can make the hair all gray if you want. You can give me black hair or blonde hair or whatever you wish, not a problem. And if you do color any of these images, make sure you link them up to one of my challenges. I'm going to have a monthly challenge on my blog, sandyallnock.com, and you will be able to potentially become a stamp yourself, you and your pet. So when you post your picture, make sure you add pictures of you and your pets and your kids and whoever might be in that stamp, because maybe I'll use them sometime. I'm adding with this medium tone a little bit more. I'm extending where the dark shadows were to start with and just continuing those lines on in the same directions. And I want to leave some light areas, so I don't want to get too heavy with it. And I'm not going to leave like single solitary highlights across the entire head. I see that on a lot of stamped images, which is fine, but that's not my style. If you look at real hair, you'll see there's all different kinds of highlights in different areas depending on where the light's shining and how the person's hair curls. So next I'm going to use YR27, which is a little bit darker than the YR24 that was the base tone. So the YR24 are going to be the spots that I leave that I don't color over top of. And see, I put just a little of the YR27 in that glasses portion that covers the hair, so it looks much more transparent when you just use a little bit there. Now the scalp, you can see my part. If I had left that the YR24, that's going to look a little bit like those gray roots. So I wanted to cover those up and leave just a few of those really light YR21 or Y21, YR21, YR24 highlights. Yes, remembering my numbers. Next, we're going to do the dog. And I did forget to put the pen cap up when I videoed, but this is E35 I'm using for the dark color. And everything underneath of the arms is going to be in shadow because the light's coming from that upper side. And then under her tummy, there's going to be shadows. Underneath the toes, there's kind of a C shape, a little curve. And you can see I'm not being real super careful with the color. I know a lot of folks want all the blending to look right in every step and everything to look exactly perfect in every step rather than being a work in progress. I do things very much work in progress, and as I layer colors over top of each other, they start to smooth out, they start to blend. I can always add more, so if you're going to err on the side of anything, err on the side of putting less color, because you can always add layer after layer after layer and more and more and more. So I've added additional details with my marker to add more fur, and I'm going to do that even further here with the E33, the next lighter color. And I'm going to do, with the side of the brush, a few quick strokes to do some blending. So that'll give the roundness of the shape and drag some of that color so it blends. But I'm also going to be doing short streaks in some spots because I want to add more fur. And since this is all about being all huggy, I want her to be all furry and squishy because that's what she is. She's a furry, squishy dog, little Miss Ciara. And I'm not really being super specific with where those things are because I am going to add more as well. The Y23 is going to be the color I'm going to go over everything with. The Y21 was the initial color, so I'm going a little bit darker with it just because I've added enough of this darker brown. I didn't think the Y21 would hold up to that, so I went with Y23 instead. Sorry, it's slid off of the camera. I was not watching when I was filming. And I'm just coloring over top of everything. That's going to soften all of those colors and blend everything and make it a little softer and squishier. And then I can go back in with my E33. You can even go in with the E35 again and add more details. Just little tiny strokes, little tiny dots in any of the spots where there would be fur. And don't add too much, but add enough that you add those tiny details because that's what really makes people look at a card, look at an image and go, oh, because it looks all squishy. So that's my animal drawing advice. I'll be giving you tips like that on each of the different kinds of animals that are going to be in this series as well as I do the videos. Next, we're going to do the pants, and these are intended to be jeans or whatever kinds of pants you want to make. The light's coming from the upper left, so the shadows are going to be on the right-hand side of each one of those lines of creases in the fabric. And that little section at the bottom, I think I intended that to be the cuff of the pants, but you could also draw it as part of the shoe. You could color it either way, not a problem. The medium tone on this is next, the B97, and I'm going to extend that B99 and make those dark areas extended a little bit further in the medium color range. And again, I'm more worried about the dark blending into the medium than I am the medium blending into the light because I go back in now with the B93, and that's where the shadows, when you're blending the medium into the light, happens as opposed to when you're just putting down that initial medium tone marker. Now, if your pants don't come out blended the way you want, here's a little trick for you. Make them corduroy. I'm taking my medium tone marker and I'm going over all the light areas with some streaks that follow the line of the fabric, so along the lines of the leg. And you can make them kind of wiggly-ish and then they look more realistic. in the medium tone areas, that B97 is not going to show up because it's already B97. So now I can add a little bit in those dark and medium areas with the B99 to add continuing shadows in there and continue that corduroy fabric. So, bonus tip for you there. Next, we're going to work on the sweater. The darkest color I'm going to use is going to be an orange color for the very, very deepest shadows, the YR04. And I'm just going to throw a tiny bit on the arm and then a little bit more on the shirt underneath of her chin because that's going to be in heavier shadow. And now I'm going to pull out the best marker in the entire collection, which is Y17. It's my favorite color. My whole craft room is about Y17. The walls of it are beautiful and cheerful, bright yellow, and I love it. My car is Y17. It's kind of the color of my life. I'm going to blend that out a little bit with the Y13 and soften where that is. You can add texture to this, going in with the Y17 and adding some texture on the sweater if you want to, but I'm trying to do this quickly. My coloring is not as perfect as I normally would like it because I want to get through this video. It took me 20 minutes to color this and I didn't want a 20-minute video, so that's why I'm speeding it up and not going as far as I want in detail with the color. I'm coloring the shoes with this B000 marker first because I didn't want to have to color around the orange shoelaces. So there's a tip for you. Make sure you color your lightest parts first and then you can color over areas later on. So if you make your shoelaces dark enough, then that'll work. The last little tidbit on this image to color is going to be the tongue. And I chose R22, lots of pinks will work. And to add a little bit of depth of shadow, since I have my BV marker out, I use just a little bit from the inside of the tongue. So here is my finished card. I used a Mojo Monday sketch for this week to make my card. And you can see I've got lots of little yummy details around it, but the fussy cut image really works on this because of the contrast of the colors in the background and everything, which I really, really like. And of course, there's yellow paper on it, which makes my heart happy. And here is a close-up of the coloring so you can see a little bit more how it came out. If you look on my blog, you will see still photos so you can study them a little bit further and see them bigger and all that good stuff. Please do me a favor and take a moment and look at my Ciara's Friends page on my blog. I have all the images there. I'm collecting a gallery full of pictures and I would love to see what you create using these brand new stamps. I'm really excited. Have a wonderful day and thank you for spending a few minutes with me. Bye bye now.